So today we're going to talk about introduction to MCPs and using AI to supercharge your productivity. We, being the vendor on investments and CRM, have created a MCP server that allows you, the user, to read and take action and write on the data that belong to you, which are your investments, are your investors, and your CRM. The way you talk to it is you ask it in plain English. There's no clicking around. And you can ask it to pull up investors, to pull campaign statistics, or you can write things like draft the investor email in a single term. We will put some guardrails in place so that you don't accidentally send the email without your approval. We don't have a truly native mobile app, but our company has come to the realization that the future is not mobile apps. The future is a ChatGPT or a Claude client. So it's the equivalent of a mobile app. So you can have the entire portal through ChatGPT. And that's the goal. So our casual portal will live in a pocket on the go. And that's pretty cool. The way it works is that it's just like Claude and ChatGPT. You ask a question or give an instruction, and you can use either one of those, a ChatGPT, Claude, or sometimes there is an AI assistant directly inside the portal. And you will just ask a question, and then the MCP server will maybe sometimes ask you clarifications, and then it will turn into API calls directly into our portal, gatewayed by your credentials. And we will give the answers back. You can do both read and write, and you are staying in control of things that can have a right impact. All right, so what are some examples? If you want to know how much you have raised for a deal, one way to do it is, open your casual portal on your mobile, go into the deal, and then look at some widgets and say, hey, who invested in this property and how much have you raised? The other way is now you can just use chat and just ask the question, hey, who invested in this deal and how much have we raised? And they will tell you raised about $4.25 million committed, and then $3.9 million have funded out of 12 investors. Then you can further drill down, hey, what are my biggest investments? Who has invested repeatedly, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's on the investment side. You can also segment and things that are important to you. So in here's an example of show me all the investors that invested more than 50K or more, and it will put them up. You can ask them to sort it by certain level. You can ask, hey, who invested most, or in descending order or ascending order. Okay, so there's the point here is that you are not clicking through the CRM. Okay, you just ask it like that kind of reduction of that step of you clicking actually allows you to keep your train of thought. I'm like, okay, got it. Let me ask the next question. And once you get used to it, it's quite addictive when you try to just use ChatGPT to access your data. Obviously, your data still lives there. You could still go into casual portal. You can still click around. And for some things, it's actually better that way because you see the whole universe of all the actions available. In here, if you want something that's really quick, this is the way to go. Cool. Now, that is the read, but we can also do write. CRM, we have a CRM, and you can do things like, hey, you put a landing page, a form on your website, and so just subscribe or sign up for your investor portal. And based on what they say on the questionnaire, you can say, I want to follow up with them. I want to get on a call with them. So you can say, tag my recently active or marketing subscribed investors as follow up. So it can apply the tags. So this is just an example of a write, but you can write onto the system, which is pretty cool. Okay. You can also ask like, hey, I have a pipeline or an opportunity pipeline. Say you create a pipeline. This is both for the CRM pipeline and the investment pipeline. So for those of you who don't know the difference, CRM pipeline is all the sales pipeline that you do until the moment they start investing. So that will involve things like they click on my email campaign, They book a call with me. They ask me questions about how my webinar, any questions about the webinar, and then we close the deal. And you can track through it. Your investor relations can create one pipeline, each for themselves. Whereas the investment pipeline, that is a native pipeline where it will be investment started, investment signed, the GP countersign, then GP send wire instructions, then GP receive the money. So both of them, there are two different pipelines. The first pipeline ends when the second pipeline starts. Okay. And so you can ask questions on both pipelines. You can say, on my fundraising pipeline, what's going on? And then you can ask on the CRM pipeline of, hey, I think I'm targeting $10 million raise. Do I have enough activities and expected value for $10 million? So imagine that you are at a conference and so has expressed interest. You could ask the client, ChatGPT, hey, I just met this person. Can you add that person to the pipeline? And they will in turn ask you, hey, what's their email address? You type the email address. So you turn a CRM into a personal assistant, right? You could also do it that way. Normally, what other people do is that they text their virtual assistant, say, hey, add this person to CRM. Here's a photo of that person and so on. But now you can do it using ChatGPT, which is pretty cool. Next one is emails. So this one is actually, emails is a huge part. There is the read of the email statistics, which is, hey, I sent out the email for 2026. How did the newsletter perform? What's the open rate? What's the number of clicks? How many replies you have? And so in here, you can ask those questions on the go. Okay. And by the way, I personally really like ChatGPT because I can ask it using voice. So I don't even need to type. I just ask, right? And then it's a conversation between me and chat. Cool. What's most important is the ability to draft the email. Now, this is super important because a lot of folks have very custom email templates, and they may have saved it in MailChimp or Go High Level. And you can use that HTML template. You can draft the email directly using chat, and you will apply that HTML template. Okay, so the ability to draft that email is really important, and you can use all kinds of designs. Now, on that one, I also want to mention a few customers now have come to us and they say, Perry, I like your reports, but my reports look different. My reports are bespoke. My reports are showing these columns and these rows, which are not your standard reports. And in order to generate your reports, I basically have to download the spreadsheet and regenerate it. Well, guess what? The act of generating a report, given the data, is something that AI is extremely good at. So for the first time now, when the customers come to us and say, I want a bespoke investor portal with a certain report, you can do it by using MCP. So MCP is almost the ingredient or the means to an end. So for the very first time, for me, MCP equal to bespoke. You can create your custom reports, embed them into an email. And we are, what are we? We are the system of record for your investors. And what you can do in the backend is really up to you. Okay, so that's that. Let me pause here for questions. I don't actually have that many slides. And by the way, the reason that I'm not showing a demo today is that any demo with this will reveal sensitive data. And when we publish on YouTube, we need to read out all the email addresses. So it's like, nah, I'm just gonna create the slides this time. Okay, cool. But any questions? Maybe you can raise your hand or unmute yourself, speak.
Yeah, Perry, just my first question is, what do I have to do to get started?
Great. We will send you the instructions on how to unlock it. So send us the email. There's like a whole instruction. If you go into integrations, there should be a blurb that shows up on how you can get access to MCP. Okay, but send us an email. We'll help you sort it out. I'll talk a little bit about that toward the end. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be pretty easy. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So what is the surface coverage that you have on the MCP? Does it allow you to, in essence, do 100% of the functionality that is on the UI today?
We actually don't know what's 100%. We are building as much as we can. And every time when someone asks, like, we're missing that, okay, we gotta build that. So like it will be approximately getting to 100%. But I'm sure that there are certain things that we intentionally gate. Like for example, for now, you cannot send an email directly through MCP. Like we prepare the draft, but in order to send, we lock down the API. Yeah. And we also gave things like, if you try to do too many right options, we will like kind of like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure? That kind of thing. But in general, we like to listen to our customers and see what's important for them. Mm-hmm. So for example, creating bespoke custom reports is something we heard. And so that is something we definitely want to implement.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Cool. And the last thing, so again, I don't have that many slides. The last thing is imagine a whole portal in your pocket. You don't need a laptop to check on the race. So one thing you can do is like, hey, who has funded? I wish your bank has a API, but if you use our bank, we automatically detect a person has funded through the has wired the money, because there's a specific memo that they can do. Or even if we match the first name, last name, and then we'll send you an email, say, hey, so and so just sent you some money. Do you want to confirm that you received the money? So you can do a lot of things now without a laptop. So you can go on your vacation without a laptop. You can reply on the spot if you want to, and drop a follow-up email while it's on your mind. And basically, it's just like talking to a executive assistant. You can ask them, hey, do I have any tasks today? Or that I am in New York City and I want to meet with the investors that are in New York. So you can ask that question as well, as an example. Okay. All right. Outside of the MCP server, so MCP server is a separate agent that you can talk to it using human, or you can have another agent interact with it. So a lot of people have multiple agents talking to each other through a prototype. So that's the MCP. So this is the external, but we also have AI assistant inside the app. To give an example, if you go into the classes, people sometimes really get tripped up on how do I create my waterfalls. A typical way to create a waterfall, that is I can share my screen over here. So this is an example of a waterfall that class A gets a 6%, class B, A2 gets an 8%. That is split based on 100% to 0% through two paths. That's because they are based on the invested amount, and I have 0 people in the friends and family that I raised for the deal, so it's 100 to 0. And then out of the two paths, one path is a 70-30 split until a 15% IRR, then a 50-50 split. And for my friends and family, it's an 80-20 split until a 15% IRR, and then a 50-50 split. That is what a waterfall looks like. That is what it visualizes. But a lot of times people don't really know how to set this up. So what we did is we have this little AI assistant now that you can click on, and it will open up this thing on the left. And you can tell it to change the waterfall. What you can also do is you can upload your legal documents. Okay, you can upload your legal documents, and then you can just say, find the page with the waterfalls, and then implement that waterfall. Try it out. You'll be surprised on how good it is. Yeah. So that's
that just saved me probably 3 hours on my next deal.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Cool. So that is, that's come out for free, still their stuff. Cool. And then Matt has a question. Say, can you do multiple things like add that content to a pipeline, assign a task with a prompt? Yes, I think you can. Yeah, try it out. Here's my advice for the people that are using AI. Try it, be impressed. Don't go overboard. It can never be perfect. AI hallucinates. And so, if it doesn't do what you want, break it down into smaller steps. Okay. And so we're not doing anything special. We're just here's the whole API, go figure it out. And almost always it does the correct thing. So, which is pretty impressive. Okay. All right. So that's most of my topics. So let's talk about how you get access and how do you get access and what's that part of? And then I will open up to more questions. So here, let me go into Cashier Portal /pricing to talk about what's coming up for Cashier Portal. I'm going to click on the syndications part. So we have improved our offerings and our UI. So I want to kind of give a peek of what's coming up. Our base model now is a syndication portal, which is just an investor portal, investment management software. Okay. And we start building things around it. We have realized that most of the value add for our GPs is upfront. So the value is not linear. They get a lot of value from raising capital. But then afterwards, they're just sending out emails. And the recent economy in multifamily, in commercial real estate hasn't been good. So distributions are getting paused left and right. So what we are working towards is how do we continue add value after you close on the deal. And we want to do those softwares being AI native, meaning that eventually all of the AI assistant and the MCP will be ported over into these new products. It's a AI first product. Investor Portal, a lot of you know what it does. CRM is something that is basically it's a utility, right? It's go high level, it's active campaign and so on. Continue to use it. If you want to, you can port data. You can have multiple MCPs that kind of call data from the two. I want to talk about the three important things that we offer. One is AI underwriting. AI underwriting, the real reason we implement AI underwriting is that you can compare the pro forma, which is what you project for your investors, against your actual. Your actual is asset intelligence or asset management. So if you say using Appfolio as your property management software, and you don't want to pay for that extra API access, what you can do is you can tell it to send a report. This is talking about Resman, Appfolio, or any. You can send a report to yourself with a certain suffix. We automatically can read that report and then dump it into Cashier Portal. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so let me open up this thing.
So let's say this is the upload, and we parse this, and then we can classify it on the left hand side. Very similar to T12. Yeah, it's not production ready or anything. It's just entirely a mock, and there's filters by asset, by status, and then by document type. So I'm just throwing it out there. And once we parse everything here, with the period and everything, these tabs is aggregate the data, a list of all the financial data from all the month, and a list of all the less than I thought. Year to date was the last 12 months. No, probably less than I thought. And then they can do a custom, and they have a start date and end date, so they can view this and they can export as Excel. So financial data, and then there's leasing data. And then what's really cool is probably automation. Automation here is they can quickly set up so that we can fetch the reports, and they don't have to download and manually upload the report every month. And so the first option is that they will set up on the Gmail to forward every email into this one. This is teamslug@report.cashreport.com. It could be something else. And then the system will pick it up, automatically upload the report, and then we will parse it. The advantage of doing this is, first, is automation, and second is that the AI will run in slow-mo. In underwriting, we run everything in fast mode, but because everything is like batch and it could run in off hour, then we can run them in slow mo, which save money. Should be like less than half. Whereas fast modes, we pay twice as much compared to the base price, so it could be 4 times as much as this one. The other one is to connect the Gmail and Outlook directly. So this is probably going to use Nihilus or some other thing. And I'm thinking of like Nihilus. So that's the base for that. And as part of the report, it will try to map the report to the asset as well, because there's probably some information in there. And if not, then they can reclassify here. For asset, then we have all the assets that we get from the deal, the investor portal. And then we have asset.
So I'm going to forward it a little bit to just show you some UIs of what that looks like. Okay, here. Because, yeah, again, this is more of what is to come, which is you have the asset intelligence directly on the portal, also as data. Now, why is that important? Just to provide the context. The data is important. If you know the NOI, if you know what's the cash and cash and what's the expenses, you can then ask chat to manipulate it to create a custom report. Because in your monthly newsletter or quarterly investor updates, you need to show how the asset is performing. Then you can use AI to aggregate across multiple assets to create a very good looking report. Okay. And so these dashboards, by the way, has another advantage, which is that you can expose them for the LPs. So if you want to expose the difference between the NOI variance, what you projected and what's actual, you can actually show them up on the LP dashboard when they log in. You can also put them on the front page for the LPs to look at. You can expose any metrics you want. Okay, and these reports, you can see that you can drag and drop them. You can make them larger, and then you have all these options that you can hide things and so on. So this is all available. Okay. Right now, this is available as a beta, and so talk with us on how you can access. So that's the asset intelligence. I know this is a rough draft, so any comments on that and how this could help you with your reporting and your communications with investors? Mm-hmm. Any comments on those?
Yeah, looks great. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation.
Yeah, great. And then the last one is property management. So we have started working on property management. We will have the first beta version very soon, like this month, and it will be launched this month. Property management. The reason I thought about property management is the following. I was actually in a trip in Dallas, Texas, to look at 2 of my properties, a 408 unit and a 208 units apartment, 2 properties. I did a tour. We're doing well. The team has some headwinds in the last couple of years, but we are doing extremely well. And we were trying to give a bonus compensation to the on-site managers based on the collections. But collections is a very interesting term. Like there's the collection for May, and then there's also a collection that are due in May but pay in June, right? So their rent is due in May, but they actually pay a month later. So there are all kinds of definitions of collections. I was literally in the car with my real estate business partner, and I say, we want to have a bonus tied to collections collected, rent collected. How do I find that report? And my business partner is driving, and we're like, okay, he's like, something about collections. Okay, then I pull out my phone, go to Restman, search for collections. Okay, I don't think this is the report. I click into each one of them. I need to set the date and so on. So I don't think this is it. What else? Let's do chargebacks. Let's do a transaction summary. And so it literally took us like 15 minutes to find the report of what I want. That's the essence of the problem. I could not show him the phone, right? Because I was like sitting next to him. And I say, if we were gonna do a property management software, it's not gonna be like this. It will be like, hey, I turn on ChatGPT, talk to it. I want the collections for last month. That should be the question we ask, as opposed to like, hey, what report do I click on? And that gives you the idea that there's a lot of greenfield to be done in property management. And because we have an investor portal, we should be able to tie the whole end-to-end, which is you can manage the property, you can see the accounting, you can asset manage the property, and then you can show those reports back to your investors. And ideally, a lot of it, or 99% of it, can be done using your own terminal, which is ChatGPT in your pocket. So that's what we are coming up with. And so here is the thing. We highly encourage folks to check out the suite. Suite is our master plan. Basically, suite has literally all of these. They have the investor portal, they have the CRM. Let me zoom in here. You have the AI underwriting, you have the property management, you have the asset intelligence, and it has more abilities with the MCP server. So you can draft emails. So some of those will be gated through the syndication suite. For a selected number of people that are watching this webinar, just talk to us. We'll grant you early access into the MCP suite, just like at no cost. Try it out. But it will be, if you scroll down, the MCP server access publicly is part of the suite. Okay, but suite offers a bunch of other things that we hope that you don't need to use any other software for the backend part of investor management. Okay, suite is also includes future products. So, for example, if you go into this one, and if I go into say deals, and let me click into this Bellevue Square, I go into accounting, and this is a new UI. This will appear in your thing in a couple weeks, or maybe if you look at chart of accounts, we have these chart of accounts. You can reconcile with your banks. You can go into here, and then you can add a transaction. Okay, so obviously this will also be MCP server back. So you can say, here are a bunch of receipts. Go ahead and put them into Cash Portal. Okay. A little bit more complex point, if you're running a fund that has multiple assets, you can do accounting for each asset, and then you can do accounting at the fund level. There are two different concepts: fund for each asset, and then accounting at the entire fund level. So that is what we create. So accounting is kind of like, this is actually double entry accounting. So you can like aggregate across different time spans and so on. So that is all part of the suite. So it's like every new feature that we're gonna come up with is gonna be part of the suite. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about the new exciting products that are coming up. Let me pause here and then open up for questions, comments. How do you like having a all-in-one solution that kind of combines all the things that you are going to do?
I'm looking forward to the day I can get all my property management companies convinced that they need to be using your software.
Yep. It's one thing at a time. Yeah.
Yep. One thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I turn around, you guys keep adding new cool features. So it keeps heading the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are people have known Cash Portal to be a investor portal. And basically 2026 is the year we say we are more than a investor portal. We are a all-in-one backend for everything commercial real estate related, residential real estate. So if you are a GP, and as example, you are already using our syndication portal, and you are using our CRM, for basically, if you upgrade it to a suite, you do have 50 units of property management included for free. And you'll have 100 units of asset management or asset intelligence included for free. So you can use Cashflow Portal actually to collect rent and export Schedule E and export your profit and loss statement and your balance sheet for your own rental properties. Okay, so just note that you can actually use it for your own rental properties. I still have to report my own rental properties, and I'm going to use this one to generate that profit and loss statement to give it to my CPA. Yeah, so it's not just a investment management software. It's actually, we are more excited about the post-raise operations, because only when you do a good job on your properties can you then raise more equity. And we want to create that virtuous cycle of here's what you underwrite, and here is how your property is performing 2 months into the acquisition, so that you know whether you're on track or you're not on track. And if you're not on track, we will tell you what things you can improve. And because the AI has all the data, and it's gonna be a very interesting frame of mind to look at your data, because you can talk to it, you can speak to it. It will tell you, hey, your bad debt is not looking good. These are the things you could do to reduce bad debt, and so on and so forth. Yeah, there are lots of very exciting things ahead. And what we want to do is create a platform that you can plug and chuck and then use it in the best way possible to help you be successful in commercial real estate. Okay. That's all I have. Any questions?
Perry, yeah,
Yes.
I have a question. What do you mean by asset intelligence? What's that?
Yeah. So asset intelligence, acronym AI. So asset intelligence, but it's basically asset management. It's bringing intelligence to asset management. What does asset management include? It includes things like renovation budget. How much are you spending on each one of the cabinets and so on? Like, how much are you spending? Are you on track to meet your 6% cash and cash on the first year? Because we have your underwriting data and we have your property level data, so we can determine that. It has variance. What are you projecting and what is the actual cash flow? It has like expense tracking. It's a superset of accounting as well, so double entry accounting.
Does it?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
yeah, I know. But does it connect with the, like, okay, my property, like you said, in Dallas, so example, does it connect? Who is my target market, target tenant here? Does it help also to connect with all of them? Does it say, for advertising?
Good question. For the advertising and leasing, I will say that's more on the property management side. So leasing will be falling under property management. Asset intelligence is about strategy. So like, hey, what can I do? And then actually doing it is part of property management. I will say in the long run, these terms may get blurry. Like ultimately, the goal is to help execute your business plan and help your business succeed. So I always think asset intelligence as the strategy, and then the property management as the execution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of exciting things ahead. This is just a beginning. We also have a ton of things to build. But talk to us if you need any help. Suppose you already have an asset management dashboard. If that's in the spreadsheet, talk to us. We can probably turn that spreadsheet into the portal, and then we can help you set up the MCP so that you can do the same thing, but on Cashflow Portal. Okay, and just to be clear, we don't like all of this is just at the suite price, because all the new features we're adding is gonna be part of the suite price. Yeah. Cool. All right. That's it. Maybe one last question for the team, for the listeners. what's the part that you guys are most excited about? The asset intelligence, or the property management, or something else?
Investor portal and the underwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Well,
now.
then number third is CRM. Property management, sometime the lender insist that we have a third party more experienced, knowledgeable in the area to have that company so they can lend you on the asset.
Mhm.
That's more for like a more agent operators. I guess it will benefit them, but in the beginning probably it might be a little difficult, my opinion.
Mhm.
Thanks, Barry.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm more definitely excited about the possibilities of the MCP. I think that's the unlock. So thank you, appreciate it.
Great, thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, we'll see you next month. And if you have any questions, just send us an email, and then we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thanks, Barry.
Awesome. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, one last question. Is there a location for the monthly reportings? For the prior ones, I've missed a few.
Oh yeah, so if you go to our YouTube, you
Right.
will see all our previous recordings.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.